Hello there, and welcome to another Starfield video. So this is going to be a pretty quick one. So I've been using merges on my channel for quite a while now, and I've done some videos in the past showcasing some of the various merges, and it's been quite a while since I last did a kind of a comprehensive merge guide. So I decided I'm gonna basically kind of recover some of the stuff I kind of previously covered, and also cover some new stuff. So there's a couple of merge techniques here I'm going to show you. Two of which you will have seen before on the channel if you've watched it, but you might be new here and you might. And then we've got a new method that I did not discover. I'm not sure who specifically discovered it, but I know a lot of people in my Discord were using it to build kind of wings, and it's a very cool concept. And so yeah, so we'll start off with some simple things here. So we've got the very first merge I ever showcased, which is the simple flip merge. So the flip merge allows you to put objects together that normally wouldn't kind of fit together. So an example here, we have this little it's kind of like almost like a pincer making main use of two of these Nova Cowlings and two of these Deimos Wing A's. So what you would do, which is pretty simple, so normally you would try, let's say for instance, we want to make it and we're like, okay, I'm going to put that there and it's red. It won't let you place it, but it's snapping to it. So this method is the flip technique where all you do is you press the button to flip the object and then you flip it back, and then instead of pressing A or whatever your button is to accept, you press the cancel button, which on Xbox is B, and then it automatically snaps into place. Now, I think the reason I'll go into a little bit in some of these on why I think they work. Now, obviously, I'm not a game developer, but with regards to the flip technique, I think what's kind of working here is so the game knows that there's place to flip it. There is a snap point. It's trying to connect this snap point here, with this snap point here, that one there. And it's trying to make the connection, and it is making the connection, but it realizes, oh, there's something in the way, so I can't do this. So by flipping the object, you're basically resetting its origin. So like say for instance, if I was to try and if I put this here, right, and I try and place it here and I press B, it'll go back to here. It's like, okay, this is where it was before you tried to place it. But by flipping it, you basically reset its last known location to the actual snap point. So when you let go of it, it's right there. And then you can just to double check, you can grab it. It is now green. Now if you move it, it will go back to red. But this is a pretty simple technique. This is kind of used to make these sort of things. So any object where you have a kind of a flip situation, so we could do this again. I'll show you with another one. Let's say, for instance, we wanted to use these pieces here. We can put these in like so. And then just again, we can flip like that, bang. Now we'll use different pieces to kind of highlight. So how about for this one, we'll actually use this piece and we'll use a fuel tank just to showcase this. So we'll use this fuel tank, slot it in. We'll slot it in the back this time and then flip it like that. And there you can see. This will work for any object in which you have enough snap points. So this object here, even though it has two snap points, technically, it only needs one of them to actually function. So that's this one. Very simple technique, but it's probably one of the most useful in terms of kind of placing stuff. So the next one is a little bit trickier. So as you see here, I've made this little area here. This is kind of, imagine this is part of a ship. So we've got this Deimos all in one berth, and we've got another one here, and then down here we've got a docker. But inside this docker, we have our helium-3 tank, our grav drive, and a reactor. Now this method revolves around using another object to basically force things down or up into other objects. So what you want to do to make this, so we're going to start off is we have a piece at the bottom. So this is going to be our bottom point here, this fuel tank, right? And then what we're going to use is we're going to use a companion weight. Now whenever you're if you ever watch me do these videos, I always refer to these pieces as scaffolds, kind of like it's like forcing it a specific way. So any piece will work as long as it has 6 snap points. So this thing has 6 snap points, 4 on the sides, 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom. So we've got our fuel tank there. We're going to highlight our grav. We're going to move this real quickly. We're going to highlight our grav drive, and then we're going to highlight our scaffolding piece, which is the Deimos, and we're going to press the duplicate button. Now, sometimes it will jump up, like you see. Sometimes it will jump down. We want it to jump down. So if it jumps up, that's perfectly fine. All we're going to do is we're going to highlight the bottom middle grab drive again, and we're going to highlight the bottom companionway. And then we're going to do duplicate again. And as you can see, now it is dropped down inside the fuel tank. So we can remove these two, and we can remove the bottom companionway. Next, we're going to merge in the toroidal reactor. Again, we're going to highlight the reactor. We're going to highlight the bottom companionway, and it'll jump up. That's perfectly fine. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking there. I do apologize. She's a bit rowdy. And then what you'll see there is sometimes you can have these kind of issues at play where basically this piece just merged inside of it. So that's okay. That can happen. So again, you're gonna delete it, and then you're gonna highlight the middle one, highlight the bottom one, and down it goes. Now, normally, in order for it to go where you want it to go, it has to have something above it first. So like whenever you're like, say for instance, whenever you're trying to do something like this, I'll show you an example here. On first like duplicate, it will go to a spot it can fit by default. Okay, so in this case, it goes up, which makes sense. Now, when you do it again, when you force it down, it will then go where it wants to go because in this, so for instance, in this case, let me show you real quick. We'll do this. So we're gonna merge this into this. So in the first instance, when we highlight the piece we're using as a scaffold and we highlight the reactor, it'll go, sometimes it'll go down. It went down that time, which is really good. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes it will go up like so. And in an instance where it goes up, the next time when you're dropping it, you want to highlight the lowest piece on the scaffold. That means that usually the scaffold piece takes priority and it will go down. Now you see if we delete that, if I wanted to try and just duplicate this down by highlighting it, it won't move anywhere because it's stuck. So this is the kind of the point of these scaffolding pieces is we're using their snap points and their kind of like physics to force another object down. Now the final part of this is getting the docker in play. Now the docker doesn't simply snap. You have to kind of make an area for it to fit. So what you want to do is you want to make an actual, again, you want to make a kind of a way for it to get down. So what we're doing is we've got some companion ways going across and going down. And the whole point of this is so we can get it snapped in directly underneath. Once it's underneath, all we're going to do is highlight it, highlight the top one this time because we're trying to make it go up. And then just like that, it'll snap up and then you can get rid of all your scaffolding. And now inside this one by one, you have your docker, you have your reactor, you have your grav drive, and your fuel. Now, you may think to yourself, oh, Crimson, like, this is going to be seen from the inside. This is, and no, it's not. The reason we use these dockers is, for whatever reason, these dockers don't have an actual interior, even though it's technically just a Deimos companionway with a Deimos docker built into it. In order for these to actually function, they have to be connected to something. That's why you see here, we move this piece above it so that it has a connection point. And these pieces basically allow you to kind of hide your engines and stuff without any issue. Now on to the topic of merging objects. You can merge objects inside of your habitat. So let's say, for instance, we've made this big, let's say we've made this big engine-y type thing. And we decide, okay, we're going to hide it inside a companionway or an all-in-one berth. So we drop it down and you're like, okay, it's all inside. Now, here's the thing. Most of these pieces, with the exception of cockpits, dockers, bays, and habitats, every other piece in the game, when it's inside a habitat, it has no physics, meaning you'll be able to walk around this all-in-one berth, and at the back here you will see all of the mishmash of objects, but they will be you'll be able to phase through them, so you can walk through them. Now, some people don't like that. Personally, with me, I try to keep it to a minimum when it comes to stuff like that, but there is some exceptions. I'll show you another cool method in a minute. So one of the things I've been doing recently, we'll do it over here, is I was in one of my builds I did recently. I did it was a ship based on the Halo TV series, and one of the things about the Halo TV series is it had this very interesting kind of bridge, almost like a cockpit. And we don't have a cockpit that actually would fit it. So what I did is I basically made one. And how you make one is we'll take this piece here. And I'm just going to show you here. So what we're going to do is we're going to snap this piece here. And we're going to snap this piece onto it, like so. So now we have our cockpit. And as you see, we have the cockpit. It's cool. But it's a very specific way. So using the merging technique of dropping an object down, what we can do is we can drop a habitat on top of it, like so. Now, sometimes with these, this is just simply dropping down because the piece knows it can fit. I'm just basically pressing Y to duplicate, and then there it is. Now, the thing here is something to remember. So when you enter the cockpit, this habitat, this companionway, for the most part, it won't mess too much with the actual Magellan cockpit. But the only issue currently is there's going to be two issues. The first is there's going to be two doors, which, if you open both of them, you can't tell because the doors are seamless. The other thing is there's no way to actually see out of the cockpit because this piece is solid. Now, there's a way you can get around that. So if you go to our structural and we get our little porthole, and again, we're going to have to use the little flip technique. So just like before, when I was showing you this, any situation where you can place something but it's red, just flip it and flip it back. And now this window will work as actually seeing out. So you've made this little kind of cockpit. And again, I did this on my demo shuttle. And it looks okay from the outside, but from the inside actually looks very cool. It gives you a completely different kind of dynamic to the cockpit. So this is another method of kind of using both the drop down technique with the merging as well as using the flip. Now the thing to remember with these is, like, technically speaking, you could get this. So let's say we have this Deimos all-in-one berth here, right? And then I'm going to change it to an armory. Now, technically, you could drop this inside of itself. So again, I'm going to use we need a scaffold piece real quick. So where's my scaffolding piece? One by one. So we're going to drop this armory inside the all-in-one berth. So if we do that, and then we highlight the scaffold. Now, as you see, the first time it'll go up. That's perfectly fine. Highlight the armory again. Highlight the bottom. Now it'll drop down. Now you can kind of just see, it's kind of tricky, but there is an armory there, and there is also, see, I'm after moving it, there's also the all-in-one berth. Now, generally you can see when pieces are merged inside one another because there'll be slight kind of like, it'll look like the textures are kind of meshing together. But the cool thing about this technique is it will basically duplicate both of them on top of one another. So when you enter there, you will see both the armory and you will see the all-in-one berth. Now, some people might not like this because it looks like, depending on how you set it up with certain, you have to kind of experiment. But you can end up making quite unique interiors in the game making use of this method. Like one of the methods I did was I combined an armory, which let me remove the all-in-one berth. I combined an armory with a Deimos engineering bay. And then we're going to just duplicate that down like so. And just like that. Now this ended up having a kind of an interesting setup where the armory pieces, for the most part, were all functional inside the engineering bay. So this is another method. Again, for most people, you probably won't really care much for this. But if you're the sort of person who, for the moment, you kind of wish we had more halves and stuff, you can play around with this. Combine halves from the same, like, to combine armories, like a Deimos armory with a Nova Galactic armory, and see what you get. Or maybe combine a Deimos armory with a Deimos Science Lab. Like, you can play around with it just to kind of see what you want. Now, the final method is the winged method. Now, this is a pretty cool one that I didn't really use too much. It wasn't until I have a build coming up. It should be out one of the days this week when this video goes live. It should be maybe Thursday, potentially. And this method is basically allows you to make wings, because I was making a Thunderhawk from Warhammer 40k, and the Thunderhawk makes use of wings. Now, currently in the game, as you know, we have wings, i.e. these wings, but generally speaking, it's kind of tricky to, make these flat kind of wings. So making use of some merging techniques, both the drop down, the flip, we're able to make these wings. So if you come over here, you'll see this is kind of the, let me remove these real quick. So this is kind of the layout of how the wings work. So we're combining some either bracers or Stroud engine, so either Deimos bracers or Stroud bracers with these wing ports. Now what we're doing with these bracers is you'll notice these bracers have two snap points. They have a snap point there and they have a snap point there. So there's technically four snap points on these bracers. So we have the initial snap point of the all-in-one berth. Then we have the snap point facing this way on the bracer. We have the snap point on this bracer facing that way, and then we have the snap point of the bracer facing that way. So this technique, we're going to basically be dropping down objects. So even though this bracer is making use of this snap point here, so let me show you. So this bracer is snapping to there. We can use the drop down technique to push these wings on top of these so that they both share the same drop point. So I'm going to really quickly just go over here and we're going to grab this companionway. I'm going to show you. So all we're going to do is we have it set up like this. So you've got your wing set up like that. This is your, let's say this is the body of your ship, and then this is where your wings are going to be. And then you're just going to go one above, and you're going to have your all-in-one berth like so. And then you're just going to highlight these two pieces, and then you're going to highlight your scaffold, and it'll go down or up. If it goes down, that's perfect. If it goes up, just do what I said before, highlight them again, and then highlight the bottom one. So now that we've got this scaffold done, or this side of the wing, we're going to the other side. So all we're going to do is we're going to duplicate across like so, and we're going to remove this one. And the reason we're doing this is because we want these snap points here. So we're going to, again, we're just going to basically do that. We're going to highlight them like so. And then we're going to highlight the bottom one. And just like that, down they go. And that's how you make the wing section like so. Now we can do the same thing the other side, and we can actually speed this up. We don't need to do it like that. So what you can do is you basically have a gap like so. And then with that gap, you just snap the pieces like that. And then we're going to highlight them all. And then we're going to highlight the bottom one. And it's just going to drop down. And just like that. And you can keep this going by just doing that. You're basically, there's always going to be a 1x1 spot between them. Again, if you want to drop them down, you're just going to do that, like so. And then we're going to highlight the bottom one, and down they go. And then we'll do the same on the other side. We're just going to remove the middle piece like so. And like that. Perfect. We're going to highlight it. And then we're going to drop it down like so. And then in situations where it's gotten really big, delete all but two, so you still have the two. So now we can delete all this top section, and you'll see that we have a really nice wing design. Now you can obviously, you can extend it by doing that. Now, so now you see we have two pieces sharing this snap point on the all-in-one. We have the wing, and then we have the bracer. Same again on this side, we have the wing and we have the bracer. Now you can do more than two. So let's say, for instance, okay, you know what I want to do? I want to attach, let's say I want to attach this. So again, you just have to have a snap point above, and we'll put two of them like so. Just highlight them, and then highlight our scaffold piece, and just like that, it'll drop down. Now we have three pieces that are connected like so. Now we can go one further. Let's say, for instance, on the other side we want to have an engine. Okay, we want to merge an engine, so we can do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our engine. Now, as you can see, in a situation like this, engine's like, oh, there's not enough room. That's fine. All we're going to do is we're going to do the flip technique, and the engine is suddenly okay. Now, something to remember with this flip technique. So let's say I want to put another engine there. If I duplicate this engine and try and place it there, when I try and flip and let go of it, the engine will disappear. That's because when I duplicated it, until I drop it, technically it doesn't have an origin point. So what I need to do is whenever you duplicate a piece with the intent of merging it, drop it first, like so, and then bring it in and then flip it. Now it technically exists. You can let go of it. Now we're going to drop these down. We're going to highlight the bottom one, and just like that, drops down. And now you have this cool little kind of engine technique. But like I said, we can go more. We can go bigger. So how about this time we're going to add a fuel tank. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to snap a fuel tank there and a fuel tank there. We're going to highlight both the fuel tanks, and then we're going to drop them down like so. And you can keep doing this, to my knowledge, as much time as you want. Now, I would go easy on it. I wouldn't go too much, because if you start to have too many pieces on top of one another, the game can kind of have problems with kind of like FPS issues with rendering, basically. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's covering the kind of the merge techniques. There is another one that I'm working on. It's not one I've come up with. There's a friend of the channel, Wicked. Um, he has came up with a kind of a very interesting way to kind of like half drop things down, which I am still kind of working on. I'm not super familiar with it. Um, I'm gonna play around a little bit before I kind of like show how to do it. I know he has a guide on how to do it as well. And then we also have Nomat in the channel. He's a phenomenal builder. Like he kind of builds these out of the box. He did potatoes, which was GLaDOS as a potato. He did like a flying toaster. Like his builds are like they're amazing, and he makes use of similar kind of merges, but more extreme merges. Again, I'm not extremely familiar on them, and I don't want to cover them just yet because I have to kind of figure them out. Like he did a very good kind of simple breakdown in the Discord. So again, if you are a builder and you're interested in kind of learning these sort of techniques, I would recommend joining the Discord we've set up, Starfield Anonymous. It's we've got some phenomenal builders. Obviously, I've mentioned two there, but we have so many more builders that not only do they know specific merge techniques, they also are very good at building specific things. Like we've one guy, Ghost Shadow, who does phenomenal Halo inspired kind of recreations. We also have Nogroth, who you've seen on the channel. He makes phenomenal vanilla builds. We have so many more. Like I feel like I could be here all day, kind of talking about the various members, but just you're better off joining for yourself. So anyway, so that's some of the techniques. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know if you learned something new here. And if you want to join the Discord, there's a link in my YouTube bio. Obviously, you don't have to just join to learn about shipbuilding. You can also join to submit ships to my channels for review. You can also just talk. We recently added like a Fallout section, and we've been talking a little bit about Fallout just because the TV show and all that. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this sort of content, and check out some of my other videos. Bye bye.